Good morning. Welcome to our first live streamed Livable MEC Engagement Cafe. We love being in person with everybody, but because of today's health requirements, we are coming to you live on Facebook. It's going to be a great morning. You will hear from experts in the private sector and the public sector and our county manager, all about the economic and educational opportunities around skilled trades. As you watch our event this morning, please make sure to submit your comments and questions via the comment sections on Facebook. We really want to know your questions, your ideas, and we'll get to that during our Q&A section. If you're new to Livable MEC, please make sure at the end of the cafe to stay tuned, continue following us, and email us your information at LivableMEC, and we will follow up with you. This morning, I'm excited to introduce County Manager Dina Diorio to get us started.
Good morning. I'm Mecklenburg County Manager Dina Diorio, and I'm excited to welcome you to the first virtual Livable MEC Engagement Cafe. Livable MEC is an engagement infrastructure bringing organizations together to enhance the quality of life across our community. Mecklenburg County government has been the convener of Livable MEC since 2012. Livable MEC's purpose is to coordinate, support, and enact positive change by engaging residents and stakeholders, facilitating collaboration among the community's private, nonprofit, and government organizations, measuring the livability of Mecklenburg County's communities, and communicating stories that are inspirational. This morning, Livable MEC is inviting all of us to focus on skilled trades, particularly the educational and economic opportunities associated with skilled trades. USA Today reports that nationally there will be an estimated 3 million job vacancies in the skilled trades by 2028. Those vacancies represent a critical issue for our local community's prosperity. When we talk about skilled trades, we're talking about careers such as electricians, plumbers, HVAC technicians, carpenters, welders, and solar panel installers. From construction technology to green building, skilled trades are in demand and will be even more so in the future, given our community's growth and retirement of current trades professionals. Professionals in skilled trades are essential workers. In fact, the COVID-19 health crisis has demonstrated the significance of skilled trades. In the executive order issued by Governor Roy Cooper in March, the order included skilled trades as essential workers because they are essential to the infrastructure of the state and nation and to the day-to-day life of North Carolinians. Tradesmen and women are keeping our economy going. They keep the lights on, water flowing, and buildings safe. As we progress ahead in the next few months, trades will continue to provide employment opportunities to help sustain families and fuel the local economy. Leaders and economists are looking carefully at the unemployment figures related to retail, hospitality, and restaurants. In contrast, skilled trades are an area of hope and have returned to high levels of employment. National unemployment in the trades has not made its way back to the peak of early 2019. However, August employment numbers show recovery levels last seen in the spring of 2018, a dramatic recovery. Said another way, trades are still in very high demand. This morning, we have a panel of experts, all of whom are working to advance careers in trades. Some are working with adults, others are working with young people, all of whom are going to share their insight and experience with us this morning. Our panelists include Marvin Kelly with Goodwill Industries of Southern Piedmont. Mr. Kelly is the Director of Construction and Trades Training. Mr. Kelly joined Goodwill in 2013. He currently serves as the Director of Construction and Trade Training. Previously, he served as Senior Development and Training Specialist within Goodwill University and a Business Relationship Representative for Goodwill. We're also joined by Darren Ash with The Rock Charlotte. Mr. Ash is the Executive Director of The Rock. His main role is to connect student participants to the construction industry in the form of mentorships, apprenticeships, and permanent job placement. Melinda Bales is with the Huntersville Town Council. Ms. Bales was elected to the Huntersville Town Board in 2011. Since her election, she has been actively engaged throughout the community. She is an advocate for educational improvement and currently serves as the co-chair of the Lake Norman Education Collaborative. She also serves as a member of the Central Piedmont Paramedics Advisory Board and Lake Norman Regional Economic Development Corporation Board. LaToya Faustin is with She Built This City Charlotte. Ms. Faustin is passionate community leader who has devoted her entire career to empowering underserved populations. LaToya has used her background in business and education to support upward mobility efforts here in Charlotte for the past 8 years. She is now the Chief Operating Officer at She Built This City, where she is a staunch advocate for workforce development pathways and access to the construction industry for all. Before we begin, I want to say thank you to our partner Lowe's and their community relations team for their support assembling this morning's panel. Lowe's is a community leader in advancing the future of skilled trade careers, and we appreciate their work as a Livable MEC partner. Now let's get started with a short video from Jen T, and then we'll hear from our panelists. Viewers, please remember to submit your questions for the panelists via the comment section of Facebook. Thank you.
They said our capes didn't show to enough class to be heroes. They said we were the butt of the joke because we didn't attend their Ivies. But they forgot to mention debt is not the prereq to living the dream. You don't have to lean on a desk when you have the drive to design your own league. By design, these hands summon creativity. Technology and trade. two converging paths, Mother Earth and Mother Board, shaping the terrain for the next generation. We are the rightful journeymen, the waymakers. When the banks crash and the stocks fall, we set the bearings straight. Scrape our knees on sunbeams, hold families together within the framework of our mind, turn businesses into our business. With the vision that keeps the lights on, we build a better world out of thin air. This is the what if for the future masters of trade. The electricians and bricklayers, solar power technicians, energy auditors, tiny home builders for the ones who don't care about the color of a collar. Craftsmanship is a calling. What if the naysayers were so worried about making it in society, they forgot to value the hands that make the society? What if you could live the life you've always dreamed right from where you are? Your career choice isn't a matter of right or wrong. It's a matter of knowing what you can do. There's work to be done. Are you ready?
I love that video. It's a great video. Are you ready? That's a great question. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a place marker here, and I'm going to come back to that in a second. Before we get started, first and foremost, I want to say I thank you and appreciate Livable MEC for shining a light on the construction industry and its ability to pump new talent into the industry. As mentioned, my name is Marvin Kelly, Director of Goodwill's Construction and Trade Training Program. And although I'm here to talk about Goodwill's construction program, my goal was to make it easy for you guys to be able to remember my 3 points, and they're going to be 3 Ds. My first D is data. The average age in the construction industry right now is roughly about 42 years of age. And although necessary and deemed essential, it isn't always considered the sexiest profession. However, it can be quite financially rewarding, and so what we're going to do is begin with a few stats. Overall employment in the construction, laborer, and helper industry is expected to grow 5% between 2019 and 2029, which is faster than all other occupations based upon the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The median average wage for all construction and extraction occupations is $47,430, which also was higher than the median wage of all other occupations. Now here in Charlotte, construction is one of the fastest growing industries in the state. They're expected to add 37,000 jobs by 2024 and over 50,000 by 2028. With the average salary in construction in North Carolina is hovering above 50,000. And this is with family sustaining jobs, including benefits, medical benefits. To top it off, 60% of the American construction companies are increasing their base pay rates to attract and retain workers, and that's expected to continue. Now, as you'll see on the slide, we want to take a little bit of a deeper dive. The construction and trade industry over the last quarter has increased the overall demand by 21%, which is higher than every other industry, including the information technology industry. If you look at some of the trades you see there, carpentry, electrical, welding, HVAC, all those numbers are up. And so I share this with you because employers are clamoring for construction workers. And I'm sure you're probably wondering, why is Goodwill talking about construction workers, and where do you see that going as far as things in the construction industry? What we want to do is share a little bit of information about the Goodwill Construction Training Program. A couple did you knows. Did you know that Goodwill's been providing construction training for approximately 13 years? So hence, we are not new to this industry. Did you know that Goodwill is partnered with Central Piedmont Community College and that they're delivering industry-rated certifications? Hence, I'm not your instructor. Our trade school used to be our old retail operations center off of West Charlotte, over across from Philip O'Berry High School. But it's been transformed into a state-of-the-art training facility that Lowe's utilized last year for their Generation T National Summit. As far as the facility itself, it's over 15,000 square feet. We have 3 smart classrooms, a computer-aided drafting and design lab with a 3D printer and laser printer, We have an electrical lab. We have an HVAC lab. We also have, as you see in the picture there, a flex lab that allows us to build out what I would term a tiny house or just a framework for a house. In addition to that, a lot of times I'm asked the question, who do you guys train? Well, that varies greatly. It could be someone from a recent high school graduate who's not ready to go to college or can't afford to. It could be someone who has barriers to employment. They range from 18 to 65 plus. Last year, over 24% of the folks that we trained were females. It ranged from folks who have no college to master's degree. We have folks who come through with a PMP and a Six Sigma. People who like working with their hands and are tired of sitting behind a desk. People who like being outdoors. And lastly, people who like seeing the results of their labor, be able to look across the way and say, hey, I built that building, or my team helped with that building. And so those are the type of folks that we train. So that was the first D, was data. The second is disruptions. As the video mentioned, are you ready? Now that's a truly loaded question. How do you know if you're ready? 2020 lets us know that many of us really weren't ready. Were we ready to be wearing these masks? Were we ready to begin homeschooling or virtually training our kids at home? Or not being able to go to a restaurant or travel abroad? Well, with that, we've realized with our training program, we had two options, either to survive or to thrive. Normally, we would have done our training in that nice, big, beautiful facility. But as been mentioned, things have shut down quite a bit, and so we had a couple of options, and what we were able to do is, because construction is considered essential workers, the need would continue. And when I say the need, that was a need for talent from employers and a need to work from clients who locally need to pay their bills. And so our pre-COVID catalog of courses consisted of these. We have a construction basics program. This is a 7-week course that leads to an NCCER, which is the National Center for Construction, Education, and Research certification, as well as an OSHA 10 certification. The students will learn construction math, power tools, hand tools, and it's our foundation course that is taken to be considered for our other classes. In addition to that, normally we would have a 1 or 2 Saturday session over at the Habitat for Humanity builds, as well as skills assessments. Once a person has taken that class, then they have the opportunity to take one of our additional classes, one of which would be our blueprint reading and estimating class. Again, that's a 7-week course. And with that course, it goes deeper into blueprint reading, light AutoCAD, and finishes up with a Procore certification. And what's neat about that class is we've had several subject matter experts from the industry, whether it's from Rogers Builders, Messer Construction, who have participated in that. We've also had our students to tour with companies like Edifice. But most importantly, Lowe's has been gracious enough to allow us to participate in a grant with funding that allows us to advance the technology that we utilize for our participants, with technology such as a robotic total station and mixed reality, which is like virtual reality to simulate a work site. In addition to that, another class is our carpentry class, another 7-week class that deals with framing, wall systems, flooring systems, drywall, and crawl space. Then we have our commercial HVAC class that gets into meters and gauges, brazing, soldering, compression fittings, building automation systems. But here's the key. When COVID hit, that caused a little bit of a disruption because normally these classes would have taken place in our facility. But CPCC was swift enough to help us to transition to a virtual delivery of our construction basics and our blueprint reading and estimating class over the last 6 months. Although we did not have any Habitat for Humanity build-outs, and our carpentry and our HVAC classes we had to hold off on them for a little while, we were able to connect with a lot of organizations locally that allowed us to set up opportunities for apprenticeships with iron workers, carpentry, tile workers, and most recently we've been able to partner with a company named Stone Restoration for brick masonry. Our agility has been our asset. And most recently, we've also been granted an opportunity for a grant with the City of Charlotte called Renew. And this is going to help us with folks who have been negatively impacted with the COVID-19 getting into the industry. So my third D is decisions. Although the labor market has been a little bit scarce, you may ask yourself, what am I going to do now? We've seen a lot of businesses who haven't been able to pivot, adjust, or evolve. dealing with Zoom, Microsoft Teams, working from home. And if they've not been able to adjust, then they may no longer be in business. When it comes to looking for a maintenance tech, a plumber, an electrician, or a tradesperson, will I look across the country and spend a lot of money trying to lure that person with a bachelor's degree and no hands-on skills, or will I consider someone in my own backyard, like Charlotte, North Carolina, someone who may not have been as mature initially or made some bad choices, but now has their life back on track? They maybe have a child or a family that they need to provide for. They're motivated, and they just need a shot. Will you wear your mask to protect each other? Or will you also hire someone within our city to help with our tax dollars to keep them local? Will we as an organization truly be a bridge builder and bring on that non-traditional hire? We constantly discuss having a diversity of thought. How far will we go to explore that? And in closing, I have a couple of graduates' success stories that I wanted to share with you just to kind of give some perspective. First one is a gentleman by the name of Jordan Williams, who attended Philip O'Berry High School, and then he went to college to study political science. He left college after 1 year and ended up working for DoorDash. Then one day, his mother told him about Goodwill Construction Skills Training Center and the programs that he offered there. He enrolled in the program first and completed that one, but then he moved on to the forklift class. After he finished forklift, then carpentry, and then he finished masonry all in 1 year. His favorite course was masonry, which was funny because when he first came in, he said that was the only class that he didn't look at. He said, I wasn't even planning on taking the class, but something told me that this was a real skill that I should pick up and educate myself on. And as a result, that was the key that helped him to get employed. He said after he completed his courses, he met with his career coach, whose name was Keitha. And when she first met Jordan, she said he was very determined and exploring his career path. But when he found an opportunity for the city of Charlotte, she encouraged him to apply. He interviewed, and despite being nervous, he completed the skills test and was offered a full-time position with the city of Charlotte as a mason. Beyond that, life is now different for him working for the city of Charlotte because his income has doubled since working for DoorDash. But more than that, he's found friends, mentors, and even a work family that he didn't expect to find. Several weeks into the job, he ended up meeting a gentleman by the name of Howard, who he refers to as his adopted grandson. Jordan says, the relationship, he teaches me more about life and even more so about being a mason. He said, whether or not Jordan expected to find a mentor so soon in his career, he's thankful to Howard for that guidance. The sky's the limit for Jordan. The next story, or final story, takes place in 2017, right after Hurricane Maria. There was a $90 billion worth of damage in Puerto Rico, and a couple by the name of Jose and Jennifer lived and lost everything. They were without power and water. They ended up moving to Charlotte. And as a result of moving to Charlotte, they didn't have much of a group here to take care of them. With Jose, his wife did not speak any English, and so they ended up taking a class at Goodwill's Construction Skills Training Center. And that was able to give them a different quality of life because in working with the career navigators, Jennifer said that she had an opportunity to interview for the city of Charlotte for a rail extension project. And the day of the interview, she was so nervous she couldn't walk. She was shaking. She had never interviewed in English. And as she began to tear up, Keitha told her, she said, look, if this is for you, it is for you. And Jennifer ended up getting the job. The same thing happened with Jose. Jose ended up getting a job while he was still in the class with Turner Construction. And as a result of that, their family has been able to move into an apartment initially, which is now their home. But in addition to that, he said, I can now feed my family and morally feel better as a husband and a community member. Goodwill gave me the skills to do this. Those are just a couple success stories coming out of our program. And with that being said, our goal is just to ask you, what decisions will you make when it comes to helping us to create that next generation of construction and trade success stories? Thank you.
Oh, good. Hey, I'm Darren Ash, the director of The Rock. I want to thank Livable Mech and Lowe's for hosting this. And thanks for your comments, Marvin. Marvin and I share the same facility over on the west side. It's a $3 million state-of-the-art facility He runs the adult program at night, and I run a construction training program for high school students during the day. We have about 70 students right now, and believe it or not, we are full in session with all 70. We have 40 that come over from West Meck, Harding, Philip O'Berry, and then we have another 30 students that we serve through a deep partnership with the police department. It was a easy decision. I have to commend staff and instructors for doing this, but they realized for high school students, we just could not do this virtually. But we're doing it smart, and I think it's really benefiting the students we serve. One thing about most of our program, the kids that come over from Harding, West Meck, and Philip O'Berry will spend between 11:30 and 3 o'clock at our facility. They take their virtual core classes at home. But when they come to us, they are on a college campus. The instructors are Central Piedmont Community College, and they're getting college-level classes in electrical, HVAC technology, advanced carpentry, and construction management. They're able to graduate high school with a full year of post-secondary credits under their belt, 2 summer paid apprenticeships, and a opportunity scholarship to finish their 13th year at CP. Bottom line is they can really hit the marketplace earning over $50,000 before they're 20 plus benefits, which is really cool. One thing I really tell parents, students all the time is that for the past 30, 35 years, we've kind of fed a false narrative to everyone about the University for All track, that is the only track for our kids. And that has resulted in a very high dropout rate and boatloads of college debt. We've kind of mended that narrative to say post-secondary credentials or an associate's degree for all. That we think that is a very, very attractive pathway, especially when you combine it with certain job skills and on-the-job training. So when we do talk to parents and we do talk to potential students, we say, look, the new world economy really requires 3 types of credentialing, in our opinion. The first is academics. You cannot get away. You cannot ignore this competency, and you have to finish high school. You've got to get your high school diploma and hopefully on and take some of the core classes to get your associate's degree. And that's where Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools come in as a partner. We also provide private tutors to help our kids get over the hump with certain classes. The second competency that the New World economy is looking at is to have a specific detailed skill. In our case, it's detailed training in electrical, heating and air, advanced carpentry, or construction management. Our kids also learn 3D and 4D modeling in blueprint design, green building design, and I think I'd mentioned that Central Piedmont Community College is our key instructor partner for the skill sets. But you remember I said there's 3 competencies, again, for the new world economy. The third is work-based learning. And it's tough in the state of North Carolina because North Carolina really makes it hard to put an apprentice on a job site if you're under 18. But we have cracked that code, and we are placing 16 and 17-year-olds with 40, 50 different employers throughout this city, making $15 an hour, 8 to 9 weeks during the summer. So this work-based learning phase is really where the ROC staff, in partnership with CMS and CPCC, we are there to develop those soft skills during the year how to be a team player, how to resolve conflict, how to show up on time, how to act like an adult. You're not having to act like an adult all the time, but you have to compartmentalize and turn that switch on and off. So, but the true way, no matter what we say, the only true way to get those soft skills is on the job site. And so we have convinced a lot of the major contractors in this city to look at some of the real small exceptions in the North Carolina law that lets us get an under 18 kid doing the same work as anyone else. And that's really the secret sauce of our program, is the work-based learning. So you have academics, specific skill sets, work-based learning apprenticeships. That's how the Rock is working with the Charlotte community to break generational poverty and ensure upward mobility. Thank you.
And as we're transitioning to Melinda, if our clicker is not working, you are welcome to ask our video director to advance the slide for you, Melinda.
Thank you. I am very excited to be here today with this panel. I love hearing about what's happening with Goodwill and what's happening at the Rock. And these are things that that I've been talking about and pushing out there for about 7 years now. The Lake Norman Education Collaborative has been around in the Lake Norman area for 7 years. And we kind of view our organization as a conduit between area businesses, our schools, and our nonprofits within the Lake Norman area. This slide that you're seeing here. It says the average age of someone working in the trades of North Carolina is 56. And this statistic jumped out at me a couple of years ago, and it really formulated the direction that the Lake Norman Education Collaborative was choosing to go, because I found it to be astounding. If you really think about it, when you are in need of a plumber, when you're in need of an electrician, as someone to work on your heating and cooling unit, the likelihood of you picking up the phone and calling and them being able to come quickly is diminishing. And I think that this is something that we've got to continue to understand as a community, and that we've got to also understand that we're going to suffer the consequences if we don't encourage and promote the trades. This next slide that you're going to see, it talks a little bit about our focus. And our primary focus with the Education Collaborative is workforce development. And how we're doing that is by developing relationships. Like I said, we're the conduit, right? We work with the Lake Norman Chamber, we work with the EDC, we work with the county, we work with CMS and CPCC and area businesses and nonprofits within our community. But we specifically work with area businesses who express a desire and a need for a skilled workforce. I'm going to give you one example, which is slightly outside of the trades, but it is a partnership that we created with Novant, CPCC, and CMS, and we developed an EMT course that's happening right now at Hopewell High School, so that those students, if they pass their EMT course and they pass those tests, that they can easily graduate from high school and go directly into EMT work within our region. And that's something that we want to continue to build upon. We work with area middle school and high schools to provide students with information regarding industry and business that's within our sphere. And some of the ways that we do that is through speed networking events. High school students love these events. They're very fast-paced. They have the opportunity to sit down across the table from someone who is a professional in that area of their choice, and they can ask, what is it like in the day of? How do you do this? How does this look? How do you take care of your family? It gives students an opportunity in 7 minutes of rapid-fire conversation to really engage. And we found that to be beneficial for those students, aside from just your standard lecture format. We offer manufacturing tours for not only students, but for educators. We started thinking, how do we break the stereotype of every kid has to go to college? Who do we need to engage with? And obviously we need to engage with parents, but we also needed to engage with educators as well. And what we found is quite interesting. Most educators think that if you're going into advanced manufacturing, that's a dirty job. It's not. And so when these educators have the opportunity to walk through companies like Burkert and Fanuc and Detweiler and Forbo and Keller Technologies, they have the opportunity to see what it's really like on the ground. And it's interesting to hear educators say, so you're talking this skill set. So if I highlight that in my curriculum that I'm currently teaching, I can stop here and take a pause and really dive a little deeper. And I think that's helpful to the educator as well as to the student and the business long term. We also do career days and junior leadership of Lake Norman through the Lake Norman Chamber. One of the partnerships that we have been developing currently is a partnership with a company called ZoomUp. And ZoomUp is looking to provide apprenticeship opportunities with electrical, plumbing, and HVAC and fire restoration within the Lake Norman community. And they have gone out into all of our area high schools and have met students and engaged them in conversation. And unfortunately, COVID's put a little bit of a kink into it because they were going to do some summer apprenticeship opportunities this past summer, but we're still actively engaged with them and still are hoping to see where rising seniors can do a summer internship the summer before they go into their senior year, and then we'll be able to have summer release and go directly back into the workforce and continue that education. Our partnership with the EDC, is we're focusing on three main business sectors right now, and advanced manufacturing is the first. We've just added healthcare within the last year, and we are looking to add information technology in the coming years. And one of the things that I really want to highlight and encourage people to go to is www.ascendlkn.com. This is a wonderful resource for students and parents and educators, but it's also a great resource for the underemployed. And that's the screen that you're going to look at when you go and log into Ascend LKN. And right now you've got two buttons that you can choose. Advanced manufacturing is one, healthcare is the other. But when you click on advanced manufacturing, it's going to take you in to provide resources. We're working on definitions for various jobs so that you get the resources that you really need to understand the jobs that are being offered. And then there's also going to be a button for job postings, and these job postings are current. So it gives people an opportunity, whether you're a student, parent, educator, or underemployed, it gives you a place to go and a place to land for information. Now, I know I've sped through a lot of this, but the last thing I really want to touch on is that at the Education Collaborative, we want to celebrate our successes. And because we're a little bit different than some of our other panels up here in their organizations, we really want to hone in and highlight our educators who are doing an incredible job. And you'll see here in February, we presented Educator of the Year awards to 3 educators in Lake Norman. But one that I'm very proud of, too, is that we have created an Inspire Our Future award for those area businesses that have chosen to step out and have that leap of faith and partner with us and are doing some great work. And Southwire in Lake Norman and Huntersville specifically was our very first Inspire Our Future award winner. And this company has just opened its doors. It's allowed educators to come in, tour their facility, ask questions, understand what their pay scale looked like, understand what their benefits looked like. But also it's great to remember that when you get your foot into the door in a lot of these companies, that they're also going to help provide you with the additional education that you're going to need to do the job. So don't just think that, oh, I haven't gotten it yet. If you can get your foot into the door and you're a good worker, and the education that you're looking for and the certifications you need are applicable to the job that you're doing and to the company that you're working with, that most of them will actually help you pay for those certifications and degrees. But Southwire in particular did such a phenomenal job with everything that we want to exhibit with the Education Collaborative, that we honored them this past year. With the remaining time I have left, I do want to take the time to thank Lowe's. Thank you so much for setting this up, and to the Livable Mech team for hosting this cafe. Workforce development is such an important topic, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity to be here today and to share what we're doing in the Lake Norman area. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Latoya Foster, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Sheep Built City. I am here representing the organization instead of our founder, Demi Knight Clark, who could not be here today. But in true Demi fashion, if she were here, she would say, we've heard a lot of talking today, we've heard a lot of facts and data. Just take a minute, stand up, get a deep breath, run around the room for a second if you have to. She's a triathlete. She climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, so she would take a minute to just do an energizer. She would say, put your hands up in the V. All right, so let's do that. Take a deep breath. Okay. She Built This City is a nonprofit organization founded a little over a year ago, and our desire, our mission, our purpose is to spark interest in construction and manufacturing for girls and career-choosing women and those who consider themselves wanting to be in the space, who are not traditionally represented. So what we do is we do this through a lifespan continuum approach. Studies have shown that really high school is a little bit too late to expose someone to a field, whether it's trades or anything else. It's a little bit too late to expose them at that age, so we start a little bit younger with our Explore Girls platform. We start with girls as young as 9, and here during COVID, we start with girls as young as 6, to be honest, exposing them to what it means to hold a hammer. What does it mean to use a drill with parental supervision? We talk about how you can innovate, reuse, and repurpose things in your home to solve problems, to engineer solutions. So that's our Explore Girls platform. And then we go deeper into middle school. That is where career decisions are really being made. In middle school, you're choosing what you think you're good at and what pathway you want to go down. And so we go deeper into our middle school curriculum. This is our Builder Girls platform, where we allow young ladies to build a she shed, amongst other things. And so we take them through the progressive build from what it means to prototype, to use 3D printing to envision what you want your shed to be. We discuss then the phases to making it happen, from the drywalling, the wiring, the roofing, the painting. So it's really an exposure to many of the trades they can get their hands on, and they can learn what it looks like. And then our final platform is our Women at Work Trade Circle. This is where we literally circle around women in the industry who want to be in the industry and make a safe space for networking, career development, professional development opportunities. Because right now in the industry, women make up less than 8% of construction industry, 18% for manufacturing, but for construction in particular, it's less than 8%. And if you're thinking about your C-suite executives, so your CEOs, your COOs, CFOs, is less than 3%. And so Demi decided to found this organization because she herself got tired of being the only woman in the room when decisions were being made. And at her own admission, she was a white woman in the room. And so the construction industry has a lot to do to diversify in many sectors. Our delta, our focus is on women in the trades. And it is our audacious goal to see by 2030, we want to see 50% representation of women in the trades. And we're going to do that by partnerships with organizations like Lowe's, like Goodwill, like The Rock. We want to make sure that we are doing all systems a go, all hands on deck to make this happen. We've heard some great data and facts today, and I'm going to echo those slightly, but then I'm going to start a little bit of good trouble and talk about, what the education system has done for our people of color and for upward mobility, as Darren referenced here in Charlotte. So we know that North Carolina right now, as of August 2020, 251,000 jobs are currently open in the construction industry. And what COVID has done is it has accelerated what it means to use technology in this space. And so your 3D printing, your drone inspection technology, if the person who used to go up on the top of the skyscraper, now drones are being used to that. And that was on the cusp of happening, but COVID has accelerated the need for these kinds of technologies. So we see the industry changing in very good ways. We talked about data around salaries. And so I want to give a shout out to Build Your Future as an organization, byf.org, that really focuses on exposing young people and their parents to what construction and manufacturing really means. There's stigmas associated to what it means, and it's almost seen as like, well, if you don't qualify to go to college, then you consider a trade. And that by no means is what it is. It's a very lucrative career. And so we see here a crane operator makes an average of $66,000 a year. A welder can make an average of $71,000 a year. And craft professionals in general make about $10,000 more than college graduates. And so that's a number that to me was very shocking because, again, we sort of, again, the unspoken aura around the trades is that you choose this if you don't quite, set the standards for what it means to go to college, and that's absolutely not the case because what craft professionals have done, like that Gen T video said, is that they've gone to college without the debt. Americans on average have about $30,000 worth of college debt right now. And we see, my generation in particular, we're seeing what that debt has done to our choices in life. We're not choosing the jobs of our dreams because we're choosing the job that can pay off our debt. We're not getting our houses, not getting our first mortgage because we have to pay off student loans. We're choosing not to start a family just quite yet because our debt is a little bit higher than we would like to start than what our parents were. You know what our parents did? Most of them, many of them, came from a lineage of the trades. So we're seeing a stigma around it that's really the opposite of what's happening in our community. And if you look at specifically when the trades were taken out of the schools around the 1970s, we see it started being taken out. That's when we see a decline in success of minorities in our country and in this area. If you look at with African-American population in general, our first millionaire, even billionaire, was Madam C.J. Walker. She was a beautician. And so we think about what it means to be successful in this space, and there's been this story that told is that education is the great equalizer, and data has shown that is not the case for us. And so we really need to reconsider what the trades can do for us as a community. Women have the ability to excel in this career field. Many of the male supervisors and industry leaders would say they actually prefer women in some of these places because we're a little bit more detail-oriented, a little bit more project management-centered. And so this is a space that we can really excel in. We are excited about what She Built the City can do in this community with the help of organizations like the National Association of Women in Construction, NAWIC, that provides those professional development experiences because as a collaborative, we really need to discuss what does it mean to change not only our presence, but once you change the presence of a minority community, whether that's women, people of color, non-binary individuals, you have to think about what that culture of the company was before you got there and what needs to change to make it a welcoming place. And so in construction, does that mean maternity leave policies? What does that mean for a nursing mother? What does that mean for childcare situations? So we really want to be a space where we're causing a little bit of good trouble, agitating a little bit to ensure that we are not only saying, yes, we want to be in this field, but field, what are you doing to make this place a welcoming place for us? And so She Built This City. When we have our call to action towards the end, I have a few more things I will point out, but I'll take it back now to Rebecca so that we can continue with the rest of the panel.
Awesome. I just want to go get a hammer. I don't know. I'm pretty excited. Okay. So thank you so much for all of our panelists. Thank you to County Manager Dina Diorio for kicking us off this morning. There's a lot of energy in this room, and I think it's definitely translating to our Facebook viewers. We've got a ton of questions, so we are going to get rolling with our Q&A. To get us started, the first question is about stigma, and we just heard LaToya talked a lot about stigma. So if you want to get us started, and then I would invite the others because you all come at it from a different angle, and I see heads are nodding. So what about stigma? What is the stigma? How do you think we should tackle the stigma? And I would invite, I don't know who would want to go first.
I would love to
Okay.
tackle that. I've been saying this for years, and I think LaToya really hit it home with the stats because student debt is rampant. And I think back to when my kids started in elementary school, right? Kind of think back. So in 2005, my oldest goes off to elementary school, and the conversation was, oh, well, we're having college day. And all the teachers are wearing their college gear from the alma maters that they went to, which is fabulous, right? But then the next question is, well, where do you want to go to college? And it was never necessarily centered around, what are you good at? What would you like to do? Do you like to work with your hands? What jobs are interesting to you? There was always this push of college bound, college bound, college bound. And I've often said we kind of brainwashed not only our kids but ourselves into thinking that every kid had to go to college and get that 4-year degree. And I asked the question, how many people do you know that went off to college but didn't finish their degree? How many of you know someone who is doing something completely different, but they felt like they had to go? And I think this is something that we've got to collectively as a community work together to say, no, there are multiple pathways to success. Your journey in life is one of importance. And just like, let's say, I'll take the German model, for example, where it's equally as respected whether you get that 4-year degree or whether you're working in a trade. You are equally respected. And in many instances, those working in the trades, as we've already heard tonight or today through the statistics, are making more than their degreed counterpart. So I think that it's incumbent upon us to change the narrative. Understanding that advanced manufacturing isn't dirty. Understanding that the skill and the craftsmanship of what these kids do is, and people do in the trades, is worthy of respect and of honor. And until we can make those changes, I think that we're going to continue to spin our wheels with this stigma. Sorry, I didn't mean to take all of the time.
I think Darren, I see Darren, they're all waving. It's very exciting. Okay, Darren, how about you go next?
I wanted to add one comment. When the high school system started moving away from the trades 30, 40 years ago, it wasn't because of how valuable the career path was. It was money. They found out with budget cuts, you could put 30, 32 kids in a room and have a teacher lecture to them versus a trade class, which is 10 to 15 with an instructor with a lot of expensive equipment and a lab manager and supplies. So it was where Germany made an investment that, this is to produce these types of workers, we have to spend money. Right. So that's what we have to get our communities back, that this is not a cheap way to educate, but it's an extremely valuable career path.
Absolutely, and there are so many things that I could say around that piece, but I'll just go back to something that we say often is like, are you good with your hands? You should choose the trades, but it's more than the hands, it's your mind. I had a chance to speak with Danielle Martini, the only female-owned plumbing company here in Charlotte, and she said, how many thoughts a person has to go through when they go on a service call and a homeowner says the flap isn't working in my toilet. There's about 10 different things it could be. And so the problem solving and critical thinking skills it takes to be successful in one of these industries equals that of some of these other 4-year degrees that we talk about. So it's not about just, I want to use my hands and I'm not going to, I don't want to use my brain. No, it is the combination, the unique combination of being able to do that both and problem solving in the moment. And so I think it's, again, what we've been taught around what education could do for us as a community. And like Darren said, it really was a money decision more than it was a successful pathway decision. And again, one more thing I'll say is, the dream that we've been sold of what it means to pull yourself up by your bootstraps here as the American dream, it is not coming to fulfillment, especially here in Charlotte. And so, again, causing a little bit of good trouble, and I will give the caveat. I am an career educator. So I was a high school English teacher. The education system as we know it is failing us. It is failing our students if you want to study technology, when you enter college your freshman year, by the time you graduate, that technology is obsolete. We're not responsive enough to the needs of the industry. And so we really have to start rethinking how we're going to engage and really make these changes to meet these demands. We want locally grown talent. We have to change how we train that talent to meet the needs of the corporations that are coming to our area.
Marvin?
And
Stigma.
one more thing about the stigma. I think COVID-19 has helped some folks to take a step back because a lot of folks are either losing jobs, have lost jobs, or working from home. And so it's causing them to rethink what they're doing and why they do what they do. And so I know I've had an opportunity as of late because of the grant that we're working on to interview a lot of folks who are looking to get into the trades. And one of the things that this has caused is a stability issue. A lot of folks who've lost jobs are looking for more opportunities to where they can be more in control, whether it's running their own business, and having a trade gives them a little bit more control back about their lives and having the ability to create, whether it's a career, learn the craft through apprenticeships, and then be able to get in onto their own.
So to follow up to that, Marvin, if an adult is having that moment, either because of COVID or for whatever reason, and they're looking to transition into the trades, maybe they're watching right now, and this is really new and exciting. Are there kind of, one or two key steps you would recommend they take for that transition?
Yeah, definitely just do your homework. I know Lowe's has Generation T's website. There's also a website for C3. Here Charlotte has a website. But for us, if you come and take a look at what we're doing, I know at Goodwill, we do an information session once a month on the trade programs that we're offering. And so definitely go to goodwillsp.org and look into the information that we have allocated there. We definitely talk about not just what we're doing Goodwill-wise, but what are some of the trends, what are some of the things that are going on. And we do a deeper dive with them thereafter just to kind of get a feel for why are you looking to get into this program. Instead of just taking everybody for face value, we have discussions with a lot of folks who are coming through the pipeline.
Okay. So, when you do this for the first time, you worry you won't get questions. And now I'm a little nervously excited that we have lots of questions. So 2 questions about gaps. And one is kind of that geographic gap. So Darren, you mentioned the high schools that you work with. Are there some gaps or maybe even a little bit of a barrier to access when it comes to the CMS footprint? And for the others, what are some of the gaps you may see either for adults or youth or folks looking to embrace the trades path?
So one big gap is that I think originally CMS had envisioned 4 trade schools at every quadrant of the city. And that way, you're still part of a school system, a high school system. What we've done at The Rock is we've tried to integrate the trade right into their schools so that they can keep their same friends, play football, be in the band, be on the dance team. So we're just on the west side right now. We're about to open a smaller facility almost real close to Vance in the Hidden Valley neighborhood. So Vance and Garinger is a big gap that we're looking to solve for. North Mech, you can keep going, but again, what we think is that there should be, a rock program for each cluster of high schools around the city, and that you're shuttled in, and your career development counselor helps you pick your electives very wisely so that you can come, with a 5-minute shuttle and then take a carpentry or electrical class, and then go back to your home high school.
Others? Yes, you're dying to go. All
I
right.
am dying to go, and I'm dying to go because Darren and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, and I've been saying for about 5 years now, I would love to see just what he described. Trade schools at 4 across the county that would be tailored to the industry that they're sitting in. So that, yes, there's plumbing and electrical and HVAC, but there could also be, like in the north end, access to automotive tech. Because, at North has that wonderful program, but not every student has access to it. So how many more students, if we had facilities like this, could we impact? And how many more businesses could we impact if we had these types of facilities? I think that That is a very long-range goal that I have. I think that this is something that collectively as a community, we've got to say we need to fill the gap. The gap has to be filled, and we need to collectively make this work.
Yep, yep.
I'm smiling. There's so many. You know, of course, our focus is on women in the trades and what that means. I will also say educationally, the middle school, because again, decisions are made much younger. And if you don't have a family member, this is along that lines of social capital. Many people in construction, at least the people that I've come in contact in my short time in this space, it's a family thing. You know, my dad, my mom was in this space, my cousin, my uncle, or my husband, you know, had a business, and then I got into the business. And so if you have not been exposed to this through your social capital, you don't even know that it's a viable option for you where you can build equity for you and your family, a legacy. So I would say more programming in middle school, and that's what She Built the City is trying to do. Is we would love to be able to host 20 Builder Girls clubs across CMS to be able to begin that thought process of what it means. And even if you don't choose the trades, I know how to fix the toilet in my home. I know how to hang the drapes. So you're beginning to build that empowerment of what it means to be able to do things yourself, which then increases confidence later in life. And so that is a gap that we are earnestly trying to fulfill.
And I'd say mine would be bridging the gap to employment for folks to be more open to consider non-traditional hires, what I talked a little bit about earlier. I was interviewing a young lady who has come through Central Piedmont pursuing a degree there, but she is participating in the Renew grant. And I asked her, I said, now you've got several courses already. She's a probably middle-aged young lady, probably in her mid-20s. I said middle 20s young lady. And with that, I said, why aren't you already working? Because she got a high recommendation from one of her instructors and everything. And I said, there's no reason you shouldn't be working. She said, my instructor has even given referrals to employers and resumes, and I still haven't been able to get hired. And I said, well, okay, let me see what we can do. But it just goes to show, especially for minorities trying to get into the trades, folks being more open to the talent and looking at different resources to be able to gather that talent. Bridging that gap, being an advocate for folks who are trying to get in the industry, because there's a lot of strong talent that we see through our programs that we're going to bat for, just looking for more employers who are more open to giving them a shot.
That's great. And just a little bit of a time check, because again, this is our first live stream. We are at the 10 a.m. We'll probably go for about another 20 minutes, finishing up our Q&A and then getting to that ever so important call to action. So thank you for continuing your questions. We are doing our best to get to all of them. The next is, and this can be for all or any of you, talk about any work you may do with folks who have some disabilities or the veteran population. So I don't know if anyone wants to take that one, working with folks with maybe some disabilities or the veteran population who are now new job seekers. They're all being very, very thoughtful at this time. Well, I will give a plug for Mecklenburg County Code Enforcement has a program designed for the veterans, and you can find more about that on mecklenburgcountync.gov. So we can come back to that one. All right, how about, and LaToya, you can take this one and then we'll yield to the others. Introducing women, so maybe not young girls, you talked a lot about, you know, those teenagers, but if I am middle-aged, say someone of a spry middle age decides, you know, how maybe can we help women in that transition too, or interesting, or what opportunities are there, not just so much the girls.
Absolutely. I'm taking notes here.
Yep.
And I'm still ruminating on the previous question as well.
Okay.
I wanted to just note that
Live TV, it's very exciting, or live Facebook.
my brain doesn't go as fast. I would say one of the ways that She Built the City has been intentional about making sure we have accessibility for all. Ours has been through, though, what it means to have things specifically for women and for children. And so most tools, most clothing options within the field are made for men. And so we've been very staunch advocates with organizations to say, hey, if we're going to partner with you, we want to ensure that what you provide is also accessible for women. And that means sizes, and that means fit, that means grip. So that's one way specifically within our mission that we have been advocating for space in a field that isn't necessarily accustomed to us. And then also for children. Demi, our founder, is in conversations with some tool companies about what does it mean to have a child-sized tool kit. so that they feel confident and proud to use it, and ensuring that our workshop is accessible to young people. Because if you walk in and everything is so much bigger than you, for a 12-year-old girl who still may be very petite, the environment itself is overwhelming, overpowering. And so we have accessible workshop stations and environment to ensure that they feel welcome in the space. And so I know it's not exactly what the question was intending, but I wanted to address it from our perspective. And then women in general, and how do women make the transition? We partner with organizations like Goodwill that have, your construction basics, and we talk about what it means to come into the space. And so we have volunteer opportunities, and we have ways to get connected to organizations that support women. We want to ensure that we have also professional development opportunities. And so down the pipeline, you'll see some CEU opportunities coming from She Built This City, and some of our Women at Work Advisory Council, where you can get some credits online to be able to advance yourself in the field, as well as, again, that social capital of being able to get exposure to a mentor in that field. Whether you be male or female, we want to ensure that you all know that our mission is not to pink wash the industry and kick the men out. No, we are looking at 50% equal seats at the table, and we know that many places we're not going to be welcoming to unless there's an ally at that table saying, open that door, give access here. And so we're looking for ways for more networking for women to be able to access some volunteer opportunities. So if you've never used a drill before and you want to start exposing that, come to one of our volunteer events. We'll teach you how to do that. And then we'll give you those connections and those conversations with the local organizations to be able to explore a field in the area.
Yeah, so for us, I mentioned earlier that we had, over the past year, 24% of our students were women, and a lot of that I can attribute to She Built This City. Demi Clark has been tremendous as far as being able to come in and mentor some of the women that we've had in the program, and that started last fall. And then again, Demi is very innovative, so after we had a session where I think 6 out of 18 were female, and she spent time mentoring them and helping them to get on their feet as far as the industry, I said, what else can we do? And so in January, we ended up doing a Women in Construction event at our trade school, and we had over 125 people that showed up for that event, where we had a all-women's panel. It was phenomenal. And so again, as we were even finishing that event, I went to Demi, I said, hey, this was really good. She said, great, we need to do a Women in Construction Trades Fair in March. And I was like, Demi, that's like 7 weeks away. But again, as Demi would have it, we went at it in partnership with Lowe's, of course. And we were able to do a Women in Construction Trades Fair in March. And again, it was over 125 people. And so that got the word out that we were definitely open to willing to help more women in construction. So that's boosted our numbers. So.
All right, this is for Darren. Question about what is the application process for a student who would want to come to the Rock, and what is your capacity at the Rock?
So the application process, again, we have 2 pathways: Rock College, which is more of the you're on a track for an associate's degree in construction, and then Rock Direct, which is more targeted certifications, direct to work. Rock College is, we start off the sophomore year in the schools, talking to all the classes, and then as kids express interest, I think 300 or 400 kids expressed interest this past year, new juniors. We whittled it down to 1 to 5, where we're talking, then that became 1 to 1. I think we had about 60 that was ready to sign up for the new cohort, but with COVID to go in person, we had to cut that down substantially. And again, it's looking for a kid that's probably a 2.8 GPA, probably a propensity with their grades in math, good attendance, people that show up. That's been key. We are almost 100% Black and brown students, and we're about 33% young ladies. One thing that is happening with employers, I should say, is that they have, especially the commercial side, is that they are very sensitive to providing diversity and apprenticeships 4 minorities and 4 women. They used to get a point system that I think they would cheat on some, where the points were, oh, we'll get points, but we'll put it down here with our demolition group. And Atrium and a lot of the big employers caught on to that, and then the construction companies got more sophisticated, and they said, no, we want a true upward mobility path for this young man or young woman, where they come in and they're getting 15 an hour, but we know that they can grow to a construction management. So we're actually now, for our summer apprenticeships, we're in the RFPs for a lot of commercial groups as they go to their clients, because now they're showing a true upward path.
So we're going to start transitioning into our call to action section before we close out for the morning. And so I'll go ahead and tease up for the panelists. I'm going to come back at you in about 30 seconds with your one thing. So you get to put your bossy pants on, okay? One thing, maybe two. So as we move into the Q&A, here's how it's going to work. We've done our best to get through a lot of those questions on Facebook. And don't worry, our Facebook friends, we will make sure to follow up. And so we'll keep this online, we'll keep the conversation going, and we will continue to respond to those questions after this morning's live feed. As we end all of our engagement cafes, we always love the talk, we love the engagement, we love the learning, we love results even more. So what we always do is ask anyone who's participated in our events 4 questions. What are you willing to do this coming week? What are you willing to do this coming year? Is there another Livable MEC partner with whom you would like to collaborate? And is there anything specifically Livable MEC can do for you, maybe research or facilitation or communication supports? So when this all wraps up, all of our viewers will receive a quick survey asking you for those 4 questions, and be sure to fill it out because you'll get a nice thank you from Livable MEC and Lowe's. And as we start to wrap up, the panelists are going to give you some ideas of those commitments. What programs or supports or services or awareness that they would love to see from our community partners. So with that, as promised, so panelists, if there's 1 or 2 things that you would like leaders of our community to do around skilled trades, that educational economic opportunity, if you were king or queen, what do you want folks to start doing or not do? Don't everybody jump at first. You want to go first? Thank you, my friend. I love it.
I'm trying to chunk my
It's hard.
6
One thing,
calls to
right? You have 6? So maybe pick your top 2. Yeah.
So I would say if you are a community leader, pastor, school teacher, reach out to She Built This City. Let us come and do a one-time event. Let's get your young people exposed to the trades. What does it mean to use a drill, a hammer, a saw, supervised? We have insurance. Let us come out there to get the exposure, because it has to start early. And then my big ask, I'm going to call on our developers to step up to the plate and to the table to what are you all doing to support the upward mobility efforts here in Charlotte. We focus a lot on affordable housing and the building of affordable housing, our need here. But there's so much affordable housing you can build. Let's talk about getting high-level livable wages for the people who were born in this city, and let's employ them in the building of these less affordable housing units that you have. And so that would be my big ask. Developers, I want you to come to the table.
Thank you.
So I would say 2 things. 1, reach out this week to one of us. You can reach me at mbells@huntersville.org. That's your first step, and that's an easy lift, as reaching out to one of us. And 2, let's sit down and have the conversation about what that could look like for your business or your organization. Every organization is a little different, and we can tailor partnerships and apprenticeships. It could be something as simple as being willing to come out and participate in a speed networking event one time. It could be something more, as providing an apprenticeship for 5 students. But let's sit down, let's have the conversation, and let's map it out to make sure that what is set up is right for your business and is right for the students in the schools. That's my
All right, my ask would be for, again, any employers that have needs in the construction industry to reach out to me. Because many times, as we talked about, there's a lot of folks that we have that are talented that are coming through our program. who are looking for those opportunities. And we may even have the discussions with some of the project managers, but some of those things get hung up in the red tape of working within that organization. And so I would ask that you would reach out to me so we can have a cup of coffee, we can have some discussions about the type of talent, come take a tour of the facility, get a chance to sit in on some of the work that we're doing, so you can get a chance to know our students. Many times you assume things that may not be true. And so once a person has gotten a chance to work with our students, giving them an apprenticeship or some work-based learning opportunities, I'm sure you're going to find that our talent is equal to, or if not better, than a lot of folks that are already out there in the marketplace, mainly because they're hungry. They're serious about trying to get in the workplace and create that career path.
Mine's, includes everything everyone said, but, we are in person every day, using smart practices. Come, contact me, come see us, come see. The high school kids love when there's an adult in the building. They perk up, and, we also serve lunch every day, so if you're wanting to make about 50 sandwiches, come bring lunch, and that's kind of a time where a lot of the kids in groups of 10 love to sit and talk to adults.
All right, so what happens next? We've had a lot of great information, and I'm going to ask my friends directing if you could go to the slide that says Better Together at the top. So what happens next? You've heard from all these great folks and been given some great suggestions for how you can get involved. So first of all, I want to start by what happens next is by thanking our sign language folks who are with us today, Anita Baker and Rick Hafner, for making sure we did not miss any members of our community in this great information. So thank you very much for being here today. And as I mentioned earlier, we love sharing and we like results even more. So after the Engagement Cafe, anyone who was registered or anyone who's given us your contact information via Facebook, you will receive the post-cafe survey. And this is really, really important to start moving the needle on quality of life issues. It's 4 questions, and when you're done, we'll confirm that we have your correct information, so you'll get a nice thank you from Lowe's and Livable Mech. I do also, in addition to thanking our sign language folks and our panelists, want to thank county leadership and Lowe's. Lowe's has been especially helpful with this event, actually been meeting on this since December. So thank you to our partners at Lowe's for making sure today happened. If you don't already follow Livable Mech on Facebook and Twitter, please do so that you can stay engaged with great quality of life information such as today. And if you would please, if you haven't already, send us your email at send it to livablемech@mecklenburgcountync.gov. But I can't emphasize enough, please complete your survey so we can track all the good work here. We're also happy to connect you with your panelists that you heard from this morning. So with that, I know it's a busy day and everybody probably has more Zoom calls or Facebook videos to watch, and just want to thank our panelists for being here this morning. Thank you to Lowe's, thank you for Mecklenburg County leadership, and thank you all for watching. Have a great day.